Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Redbird Rundown, our weekly look at the Illinois State men's basketball team. I'm Assistant Sports Editor Joe Deacon as your host, and joining me as usual is beat writer Jim Benson. Hello again, Jim.
How you doing, Joe?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Well, the Redbirds got a couple of wins they kind of needed in the past week. They topped Bradley by 11 points at Redbird Arena, and then before grinding out a 9-point win on the road at Drake. Deshaun Knight came up with 20 points in each game for ISU, and did you see any signs of the team turning a corner in either of these games?
They were good, solid wins against teams kind of in the lower half of the valley. Teams you need to beat if you want to consider yourself kind of a contender. Especially the win at Drake. It was an 8-point win. It was a good win, like you say. It was kind of a grinded out win, but like Dan Muller said after the game, any conference win on the road is a great conference win. I mean, winning on the road is not easy. ISU had beaten Drake by 36. That wasn't going to happen again. But ISU kind of just methodically pulled away at the end, the last 8 minutes of the game. And especially without their point guard, it was a good, solid win.
Yeah, you mentioned that without the point guard, they'd started to come around from some injuries, but then late in the Bradley game, Paris Lee kind of tweaked his knee and didn't play against Drake. Do you expect him to be back soon?
Yeah, I do. His MRI came back. It was negative, which was great for ISU. They've had a lot of injuries in the last month or so, and losing a point guard would have been a really tough blow. I do expect him back. He had dressed the other night at Drake, but he had not practiced. They didn't want to really risk it. I would say he would definitely play against UNI. Probably not know for sure right now how much he'll play or if he'll even start, but I would definitely expect to see him on the court, at least some.
Another good thing you kind of saw in the win over the Bulldogs is you get 13 points and 9 rebounds from Reggie Lynch after he kind of struggled in the Bradley game with more foul trouble.
Yeah, he was able to stay in the court a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a big key for Illinois State going forward. They need Reggie on the court. He played, I believe it was 24 minutes the other day. He needs to be on the court at least 20 minutes a game. He's a game changer. He's a rim protector. He's the best block shot guy in the Missouri Valley Conference, one of the best in the country. He's not on the court, they're not as good. I mean, it's just pretty much that simple. Him and Dan Muller had a little sit-down film session for about 45 minutes on Sunday, just going over kind of his fouls, just which ones he can avoid really easily. The ones that are setting a bad screen, trying to block a shot from 17 feet. Those are the fouls you need to avoid. The ones that you try to block a shot near the rim, those are going to happen. I mean, those are aggressive fouls, and you can live with those. It's the other ones that you really can't live without.
Yeah, especially you kind of pointed out in the Bradley game, he came back into the game with 4 fouls and didn't last but 5 seconds.
5 seconds later, he's fouling a jump shooter from 16 feet. I mean, that's just uncalled for.
Takes him out of the game. So now it's a chance for Redbirds to show they belong among the top teams in the Missouri Valley, as we kind of mentioned. Number 20 in the nation, Northern Iowa, comes to Redbird Arena on Sunday. Like I said, number 20 in the poll, and they're coming off a road win over an Indiana State team that's already beaten the Redbirds twice.
Right. This is a statement game. Let's face facts, cut to the chase. This is a statement game for ISU. Can really show not only to themselves but to the rest of the Missouri Valley. They're going to be a team that's going to need to be reckoned with, really, when you get down to St. Louis. This is a game ISU hasn't been able to protect their home court real well this year. They've lost 3 games on their home court. Had a chance to beat VCU, a ranked team, couldn't do it. Indiana State, they just played uninspired that game, and I think they learned a big lesson from that game. This is a statement game. If ISU can kind of take this game, they can show that they're going to be there the rest of the season.
Yeah, the home court struggles, I mean, they date all the way back to the opener against Utah State when they had a game that seemed to be in their pocket and they kind of let it slip away.
Right. You hope by now they've learned some lessons, and I think they've turned a corner in that regard. I really do.
Yep. Sunday's game is the first of 2 in a row on Doug Collins' court for the Redbirds as Missouri State visits next Wednesday night. The Redbirds beat the Bears by 14 at JQH Arena, and so what do they need to do to make sure that they don't fall into a potential trap in this game?
Well, yeah, it could be, like you say, I don't think it's a trap game. It's more would be a letdown game. A trap game is, caught in between 2 games.
Something coming up.
Right, exactly, and then the Loyola game is coming up. But I think this could be a definite letdown game after, there's going to be a big build-up to this Northern Iowa game. I think in that regard, too, like I said, I think ISU's kind of turned the corner there, too. They got some good senior leadership from Deshaun Knight and Bobby Hunter. I think these guys, they have, I don't want to say senioritis, but they're seniors. The urgency is here now, and I see them really leading this team kind of right now. They're not going to let these guys let down. This is their last go-around. You know, they can't afford any more slip-ups or stumbles, and I think they really know it. And I saw that a little bit in the Drake game the other night. Those guys weren't going to let ISU, you know, drop down. They were going to kind of will that victory out, and I think they really did, and I don't think they'll let them have a letdown against a team like Missouri State.
Yeah, we touched a little bit about it with Lee and his knee, and then now Reggie's back from the back issues. How's the health team coming around? I know Deontay Hawkins has still been nursing his issues.
Akun Purcell looked a lot bouncier the other day. He hadn't practiced a lot when he came back from his broken hand. He had been out 4 weeks, had 2 practices before his first game. And he kind of wasn't in rhythm yet. The other day I just saw him being a little bit more rhythm, moving a lot freer without the ball and all that. So I think his hand is coming along. He's getting used to that wrap. He'll have to wrap on a couple more weeks. I see him really kind of rounding into shape right now. Teddy Hawkins, timetable's still up in the air there. I expect him back in the next 2 weeks or so sometime. I really do. I don't know for how many minutes. They'll really probably try to limit his minutes at first when he comes back. Not throw him in the starting lineup. They've kind of got a little thing going now. Pretty nice with McIntosh and all that.
With a good rotation.
Exactly.
And their depth has always been a key.
And their depth is good. So, that, you know, they can kind of try to ease him into a little bit and really kind of get him going for the first week of March.
Great. Well, as always, Jim will hold his pregame chats before each of these contests. You can visit those here at Pantagraph.com. And then be sure to come back to Pantagraph.com or pick up your daily Pantagraph for all the reports on all the games. Thanks for watching.